empty the chamber on them. And how do you do that? We're 6 seconds, point A to point B, everything you got. Everything you got. Turn that shit up. Let's go.
Welcome to the Scoop World Order. It is Monday of Indiana week. We came off a win against Northwestern. It's about the only good thing we can say about that game is we got the dub. We continued. We were 9-0, marching towards the University of Michigan. It wasn't the result that many wanted in terms of production and style points, but hey, a win is a win. There's a lot of teams that would kill to be in our shoes right now in terms of being undefeated. Likely number 2 overall in the next playoff rankings behind the University of Georgia, who thumped Tennessee. They are the clear-cut number 1. They'll probably be unanimous this year. So we're going to talk a little bit about the offense, some final thoughts on the Northwestern game, and how we fix the running game going forward. Nevada and I put on our offensive coordinator hats, and it is going to be very good stuff because we've watched the film. There's little things that need to be tweaked, and I think if we get these things done, we're going to be much more dynamic and harder to stop in the running game. But first, as always, thank you guys. Subscribe, like, please comment what needs to happen to fix the running game, and also shout out where you're from. Write that in the comments down below. Those always help the video. Please hit that like button. Also helps the video a ton. Subscribe and spread the good word. A lot of you guys are subscribing. We appreciate you guys. We've been blowing up. It's been huge. It's all thanks to you guys. And if you guys want the best inside information, we have some huge recruiting news coming via Bill Greene. Just hit us up, BuckeyeScoop.com. Consider becoming a premium member. It is that time of the year. We are grinding towards the playoffs, the Michigan game. No better time for inside information than right now. So without further ado, I bring in my good friend, Nevadabuck. Nevada, how are you today?
I'm doing great. 9-0 weekend is really something you appreciate after you see some of those teams struggle yesterday, and lots to be grateful for as being an Ohio State fan and well positioned for the exciting stretch drive.
Yeah, and I talked about this at length. I talked to Bank for a while today. I've talked to you 5-10 times today during NFL Sunday, just kind of thoughts on the film, thoughts on the performance. At the end of the day, you're 9-0. You control your own destiny. There's a lot of teams where the dreams died. Tennessee, it's a little hairier now. Bama's out of the picture. Some of the regulars that are used to going to the playoffs, they're going to need a lot of help to get there now. We still control our destiny. Thankfully, we play in the Big Ten. We got to get up for about 2 games a year. Penn State and Michigan. Wisconsin's way down. Notre Dame. Notre Dame actually did us a huge favor by knocking out Clemson. That was big for us. Nevada, give me your final thoughts on the college football weekend. I thought it was maybe the best weekend I've seen in terms of the quality of games. Major matchup in Georgia with Tennessee. LSU Bama was a fantastic game. The Ohio State game was a snoozer, but it was kind of nice because you didn't really have to worry about it too much. But your final thoughts on the weekend. What did you like? And what were some things that maybe popped out as you were sitting on the couch watching these games?
Well, first of all, I don't know about you, but I was worried during that Northwestern game. I mean, I was watching that game and I was like, man, they are hanging in this game an awful long time, and you're just one freaky play or fumble in the air or something from going wrong, and that could have gone badly. But the good news was it didn't. And when you have a day like that, you can just sit back. I love early games like that when you win, because then the rest of the day you just sit there, watch other good teams struggle, and count your blessings that you managed to get the victory, stay undefeated, and have everything you want still in front of you, and come running through Columbus. So it was a fun day. Lots of quality, lots of excitement and drama in college football, and it was just a great day to be a fan. But what I say to all the fans out there is really appreciate every game and appreciate every weekend, because I think this pursuit of perfection and the idea that every game you have to win, and you have to win by 6 touchdowns or otherwise it's disappointment. I think it really it takes away from being a fan sometimes, and it takes some of the joy out of the accomplishment. And I think we really have to take a step back, including myself, and say, hey, look at what these kids have accomplished. Look at what we've been able to dodge bullets for 9 weeks in a row, and we got a game against Indiana, a game against Maryland, and then a huge game against Michigan. But just let's try to take a step back, enjoy the process, and enjoy some of the improvements that Ohio State has made, and really position themselves well to make a run at the national championship.
Yeah, I think sometimes, when you're supporting a team like Ohio State, it's kind of, you complain the ice cream's too cold. I remember in 2012 when I worked with Tom Herman and Ed Warner and some of these coaches on the offensive staff, they talked to, they were at like Kansas and Iowa State and, Sam Houston State. And, they were the team on the other side. They were the Northwesterners. They were the teams that would lose 77-10 and be outgunned and outmanned. So they really enjoyed winning. They didn't, it's hard, you always got to get better. You always got to, but man, like some of those guys, that gave me some perspective because when you play, I played at a good high school program. I played at Ohio State. So we're not used to losing. And really we're not even used to winning close anymore because, our offense is so dynamic. We're rated number 1 in the country. Defense is top 10. But that always put some good perspective on for me because when we won 55-21 and Urban Meyer was, having a cow like those other guys, when he walked out of the room, he's like, man, I was happy we won by that many points because I used to be on the other. I used to be the coach at Miami of Ohio that lost to Ohio State or Michigan and got drubbed and had no prayer. So I enjoy the wins. I know it's hard being a player in a city that can go negative. So I tried not to go negative. I try to stay positive because it's tough. And the hardest part about the city right now, man, is the only thing that people want to talk about is the Michigan game looming at the end of the year. Likely going to be a 2 versus 3 matchup. Illinois went down to Michigan State. That's the last real test for Michigan. I think Michigan will handle those guys pretty easily. We just have Indiana and Maryland. I think we'll handle those two very easily. Nevada, is there anything that is going to stop this from being a 2 versus 3-ish matchup in the Ohio State Michigan rivalry?
I mean, it doesn't look that way. I mean, obviously you never say never, but no, you've got two kind of easy matchups, but it's the way it should be. I mean, Ohio State, Michigan, end of the year for all the marbles, and one of the teams is going to go on, and one of the teams is going to go home, and I think that's again, is what's great about college football. It's basically the opening round of the college football playoff that weekend in Columbus. It's basically a home game for Columbus and for the Buckeyes. So, no, I think I think nothing. It's kind of an inevitable showdown. It's been kind of brewing since last year when we lost up there in Ann Arbor, and it's probably poetic justice that it comes back around to Columbus, and I think it's the way it should be.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that that game it's going to be it's going to be our first playoff game because we're going to have everything on the table, playoffs, everything's right in front of you. You control your destiny, and those guys waxed us last year, so we owe them one. I think that's part of the reason why it's such a hot topic around Columbus with the fans, with the parents, with I've been in these kids' shoes as in '06 we were. It was Cupcake City for a month, and then Michigan loomed at the end of the thing, and they were number 2, and we were number 1, and we look at the schedule, and we're all playing Antarctica State every week, and all of a sudden you're just like, yeah, this is going to happen. And so we're looking at a 2 versus 3. It's going to be a huge ticket, a lot of pressure. But we've got some things that we noticed on film, Nevada. I'm going to switch this into the film room, specifically in the running game, that you think could really help our offense out. Nevada, we're going to switch over into here. Talk a little bit about constrain in the running game. What does that mean, and why it's important that we start utilizing it going forward?
Well, I think when you look at this kind of setup, you look at the defensive setup right now for a team like Northwestern, and this is the basic look that we've been getting for the last 3 games from teams. And what you'll notice, what's notably absent from this is any type of deep safety. They're basically playing everybody within 7, 8 yards of the line of scrimmage. I mean, probably 7 yards of the line of scrimmage. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys. And so you're getting a lot of guys in the box. You're getting a lot of guys that are kind of flowing to the ball. And what we've been talking about is when you run the ball and you don't run some sort of constraint, whether it be a reverse or some sort of counteraction or something else that kind of indicates that the ball is going to some different place other than when the ball's handled, those guys, and you can kind of circle the guys down there at the top of the screen, those guys just come flying in to attack the ball carrier. And you'll see the simple play, fakes the handoff, and boom, all of a sudden he's got the corner really, really easily. And you'll see this play, he lines it up, fakes the handoff. This guy comes down the line, makes the, and all of a sudden, there you go. CJ Stroud around the corner, and this is just easy. This is just stealing right here in terms of getting yards. A big play. Let's run it one more time. And boom, round the corner, 7, 8, 9 yards. Now, what's important about this is obviously, that was a huge play for Ohio State, a huge play at that game. But what's important about it is what it sets up in the future for Ohio State. And so, you can kind of, go forward in this, and you can kind of set up another play. And again, look at what we've got here. You count the number of guys in the box. I mean, Kirk, you can count them off, or you can just scratch them out there and introduce. It's 9 guys, right?
Yeah. Yeah. These are low safeties. These guys are, these guys are they're here to stop the run. They realize we can't throw it. So we have to line up in a position where you have to run it. And again, the fact that CJ pulled this ball, this is a constrained player. CJ pulled it earlier, came out here. This guy, you look at his feet, he hesitates for just a second. Mayan is barreling up in here. If CJ doesn't keep that ball here, this guy's firing and tackling Mayan for about probably a first down, 3-yard gain. Instead, CJ holds him, and you only need that little bit of space, that little foot of space or so, and this turns into a touchdown, literally off of the fact that CJ kept the ball earlier in the game. And again, like Nevada and I, there aren't two human beings on this earth that say we need to run the quarterback more than we do. Now, not Tommy Frazier, not triple option, but when you're outnumbered in the box, the only way to equate numbers is to run some read option. And we run read option looks where there's no read, which is completely pointless because you leave the backside edge defender unblocked and the running back gets killed in the backfield. But instead, we actually pulled it once. And look, you see CJ out leading the way, big touchdown, maybe the play of the game because we finally took the lead after being tied and just screwing around. And I'm going to go back to the first play real quick and break this down. So this is a Bear defense. Virginia Tech's defense they ran against this cover 0 across the board. Manned up. You got a 0 nose, 3 technique, 2 edge guys. This is a look, they know we're running the ball. It's 4th and 1. Obviously Ryan doesn't have a choice when it's windy because if you punt it, you're going to get 20 yards. I mean, Nevada talked about how, the wind was so critical in this game in terms of the punting and special teams. But, in the past, before this game, before it got into nut cutting time and it was tight, we did not read this play, and it drives me absolutely crazy that we don't read this play because this is the guy that you read. So in read option, if this guy crashes down and takes the running back, you pull it, and you're on the edge versus the edge defender who's out here. And so basically, when you need 1 yard, CJ just has to basically beat this guy to the pylon, beat him to the cone, beat him to the sticks, essentially. And, for the last, first half of the season, because we're so scared to run a quarterback because, these guys are made out of porcelain, we would hand this and it would get tackled right here for a loss and everybody would boo and be upset and sad and wonder why we do that. And, and CJ would do his little fake and nobody would believe it because he never pulled it. So he finally pulls it on 4th and 1. And this is a huge play. We're losing at Northwestern, 3 minutes to go in the half. And we get the first, we get a big chunk of yardage. Julian's out on the edge. And again, for me, like when I watch Kyler Murray and all these quarterbacks that make $50 million a year in the league, CJ can just slide. You don't have to lower your shoulder. You don't have to be Jerome Bettis. You don't have to be Bo Jackson. Just slide. Take the yards. Don't hurt yourself. I mean, hell, I hate that he does this and dives forward on his shoulder because if he's, if he's so risk adverse, just slide like a baseball player. It's not that hard. I see it every Sunday in the NFL with quarterbacks that make $50 million a year. They just slide right here, take the free money. But again, when you do that, you're so much harder to defend. So here, read option again. This time, because CJ kept it previously and he was out here and you get this nice one-on-one block, I mean, it holds this player. If you're watching this on YouTube, watch right here. Watch the constrained player. Watch him hesitate. Watch his feet. Hesitate. Goes after CJ for a millisecond. That's all when they say football's a game of inches, and this is against Northwestern. This guy is not a good NFL player. This is not Georgia. This is not Bama. Like every little inch counts when you play really good teams that actually are fast and good on defense. These guys were in the hundreds on defense, 109th in the country against the run. So, you need every trick in the book to beat a team like Georgia or Bama. You can screw around versus Indiana and Northwestern and Antarctica, but here, man, that one play and the hesitation that it gives this guy, it literally makes a touchdown. Because if this guy doesn't trust that CJ's, because CJ's, he's a running back, he's not a running back, he doesn't pull the ball. if this guy doesn't pull it, or he's firing right there on Mayan, and it's probably a first down, but it's not a touchdown. So that hesitation, he can't get there, and Mayan squirts out, and CJ and Julian are leading the pack down the sideline, and we score. So again, like it's stupid that it comes to the fact that we're in bad weather and we're playing a terrible team and we suck and we're not playing well and nobody wants to be there. That's what makes it all come to fruition. But like we've been screaming for this for a long time, Nevada. I mean, you agree that without constraint, you can have the biggest, meanest, and we do. We have maybe, if we're not the most talented offensive line in the country, we're probably in the top 5. And we're playing against D lines that are probably in the top 80. And, when you don't have constraint and you're easy to stop, none of that matters. What are your thoughts on that, Nevada? I know I just went on a little rant, but I think you're in line.
I think what I was excited about was the fact that we actually ran it. And to me, that's the biggest sign of optimism for the OSU offense that we could possibly have, is that, that they recognized that they needed to do it. It doesn't matter who they're playing. I don't care where these guys are ranked or, whatever. They're Division I athletes. And if they've got 9 of them in the box and you've only got 7 guys to block, they're going to make the plays. And those guys are perfectly capable of coming down the line if they're unblocked and making that play from the backside. And that one that you highlighted was perfect, because that play, if he hands the ball off to Mayan in that situation, that guy stops Mayan behind the line of scrimmage. And and then despair rings throughout the land. But all you have to do is keep it once, twice, couple, 2, 3 times a game. And it turned out, later on in the fourth quarter, the score touchdown that we scored to go over 21 points near the goal line, same type of thing. Because we'd run the constraint before, when we ran that zone read action, it froze those guys on the outside, and Mayan walked into the end zone. So to me, I'm taking it as it's an optimistic sign that Day has realized that they have to equate numbers in terms of doing it. And I think this could be the start of really, really big things. I'm optimistic because, the Buckeyes ran the quarterback. And I think that's an important thing, that was the one piece of the arsenal that I think that they needed to kind of activate. I think they did it. I think they're going to really like what they see when they look at it on film. 13 yards of carry. Everything else started to work after that. And, we know we can throw the ball. And I think that this little tweak is going to solve a lot of issues for us in terms of the running game. I think we're going to see immediate benefits of that, even this weekend against Indiana, going on to Maryland into the Michigan game. And so like I said, I thought this was a huge step forward for Ohio State. This wasn't a step back. The fact that they were willing to do that, the fact that they were willing to show that, hey, we're serious about what we need to do to do anything to win, including running CJ Stroud. I thought it was a really, really big step for Ryan Day, a really big step for the offense, and a big step for the Buckeyes. And as we talked about in the opening, 9-0, lots to be happy about. And again, as I review the film, I'm more and more optimistic about what Ohio State's doing and where they're going and where they can ultimately end up.
Yeah, I agree totally. I hate that it comes to struggling on the road versus the worst team in the Big Ten, a team that's lost to multiple MAC teams, to decide that, hey, maybe we should do something that'll make us way harder to defend than normal. But, because sometimes the offensive line gets unfairly blamed. And again, there's some guys that need to play a lot better. I'm not trying to say that they're playing good, because there's some guys that really need to step it up and get going and get a little cranked up, get whatever. However they have to fake it until they make it, they got to figure it out, because there's some guys that are playing poorly and they haven't started before. They're not used to their routine, and it's a lot like PJ last year. Paris, when he was playing guard, he had some hiccups and some bad moments, and people, they're ready to crucify you if you have a couple of missteps when you're a first-year starter. But that's just part of growing pains of being a young guy and in the spotlight. And if you miss a block, then it's a tackle for a loss, and everybody thinks or even worse, you give up a sack, and it's a bad deal. But I wish that they would unveil this, because it makes us so much harder to defend as an offense, because our throwing game is obviously very good. It's not at the level of if Jackson was there. I think that some of these receivers need to step up and eat their Wheaties and start getting open, other than Marvin Harrison Jr. And they definitely need to start blocking, because the one thing that they're not doing is they're not blocking anywhere near the level they need to win a championship. Because one of the biggest reasons why our running game isn't where it needs to be is because we're not hitting these long runs because we're not blocking on the perimeter. So that's just facts. I've watched the film. I've watched the last 5 games, all 22 tape, and we're not blocking the edge like we need to. So, it starts, to hit those home runs, you got to have the perimeter guys participating and really digging in and blocking the way that they need to. Like with Ezekiel, like when Ezekiel had his magnificent stretch in 2014, guys like Evan Spencer were getting their nails dirty. They were out there grinding and knocking guys out and cracking guys and doing stuff that, we don't see. It's not in a box score. It doesn't make you a 5-star recruit, but it makes your team a national champion. So some of these guys got to, get their nails a little dirty and go in there and smack some guys. So I'm excited about it. I think that hopefully we'll run the quarterback more. I don't want him to run up in the A gap, but I don't think there's any reason he can't run a zone read and get out to the edge and slide and pick up 7 yards every time. Because I think that the more you do it, the more comfortable CJ gets with it. I see Justin Fields, who's going to be a $70 million a year quarterback when his contract comes up. He's doing it. He ran for 176 yards today. So it works. It's a great equalizer. And when you play, looking down the barrel, Georgia and some of these teams that we're going to see in the playoffs, like you can't hide. You can't worry about guys, getting a boo-boo, because they're made out of porcelain. Like some of these guys, let them go play some football. Let them go out and get hit. I mean, they'll be okay. Tell them to slide before the big bad guys hit them. So I don't think it'll be a big deal. I think that, if these guys want to win a championship, you gotta lower your shoulder and go get it. I mean, Craig Krenzel did it. Cardale did it. Imagine where we are if we play the Miami Hurricanes and Craig Krenzel doesn't scramble ever because he says he's a running back. Or imagine Cardale doesn't scramble against Alabama. We don't win. We're just another team that's a Big Ten champion that nobody cares about. They don't do reunions at Ohio State for winning the Big Ten championship. They only did for national champions. So that being said, any final thoughts, Nevada? We're going to wrap this thing up and get ready to go for a big week. Second to last home game, second to last time we'll see CJ Stroud in the shoe before Michigan. Any final thoughts to wrap this thing up?
No, I thought the defense, played well, and I thought special teams played well, and I think, I think one of the things that we're going to be able to do, and I really liked what Ohio State did when they brought in the third linebacker with Cody Simon coming in. I really like that look. I'd like to see more Cody Simon, probably less Tanner McAllister, and I think against Michigan, that's probably what you're going to see, and I think that's a great matchup for Ohio State because I think that Ohio State defense gets a lot better, a lot bigger with a linebacker like Cody in there, a guy that can run like that, a guy that can stop the runs, just step up and make negative plays, and 3 linebackers like Tommy Eichenberg and Steele Chambers and Cody Simon. I really think it's a really good matchup against Michigan. I think that's a perfect antidote for what ails us, in terms of this game. I think that their strength is going to play right to our strength, and I think the Ohio State defense is going to come out on top. And I thought that what we did against Northwestern with Cody this week was kind of a little glimpse of what we're going to do against Michigan in 3 weeks. So I like, again, lots of reason for optimism, and I'm excited.
Yeah, and I think our defense gets better with more Cody Simon on the field. And when we're playing Michigan, I mean, it's going to be like Northwestern on steroids. They're going to try to run the ball, control the clock. Northwestern held the ball for 36 minutes out of 60, so that's pretty substantial lead in the time of possession. But yeah, I think those guys can all float. I mean, those guys can run. Cody can run 4.52. I think Tommy's a 4.6ish guy. Seal's a 4.58 guy. That adds, a dimension that we don't really have. I'm not sure how good Tanner's playing right now. He seems like he's in a little bit of a struggle right now. So, and the other thing that I don't get is I don't understand our defensive tackle rotation at all with Mike Hall and Ty Leak playing as little as they do. I get that you want to play the seniors, you want to play the old guys, but these young guys they're our 2 best guys by far, and they play, in the teens snap wise, and the other guys are playing 30-ish snaps. So that I don't understand. It could be condition, it could be an injury, it could be whatever. But if you're gonna have to play 17 snaps, you're gonna have to play 30. This is my opinion. I've been there, played there. I used to hate pitch counts. I didn't want to ever be on a pitch count. I'm either not gonna play or I'm gonna play the whole game. If I'm hurt, then I'm not gonna play at all. I mean, if I'm injured, severely injured, I'm not gonna play at all. I'm not gonna play 10 plays and that. But if I'm out there, I can go the whole way, just because that's how it is. And it's obviously different on the offensive line. There's no rotation on an offensive line. There is rotation on a defensive line just because, those guys have to run to the ball a lot more than O linemen do. So they have to rotate through. But But yeah, with that being said, I'm going to wrap this thing up. We have a huge week coming on Buckeye Scoop. We have Bill Greene, big recruiting column coming. We have the Thursday chat. We're going to have a couple surprise guests from South Florida on our podcast. We have some great interviews coming, some great material, all on BuckeyeScoop.com. Huge analysis of what is going on with the Buckeyes. Yeah, this is a huge stretch, 3-week stretch. If you haven't joined BuckeyeScoop.com's premium edition, it is the place to be. Game Theater was massive success. Tons of great analysis, tons of great content. A fantastic community of the best Buckeye fans in the entire land. I would love to have you. Consider joining BuckeyeScoop.com. It's also a fantastic gift for those of you who have huge Buckeye fans. You got Christmas coming around the corner. We are the gift for them. Hope you guys are having a great rest of your day. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Bucks.